Hi, and welcome to the Book Bar, where everything bookish is on the menu. I'm Antonia Barr, and I have a book haul today. If you watched my video about my goals for 2021, you'll remember that I said I didn't want to buy any physical books this year. I have a lot of physical books. I did give myself permission to buy some ebooks, which I've done, but I wanted to try and read and then hand off my books that are in physical form, or only keep the ones that I really wanted to keep for sure and not acquire anymore. Obviously, that didn't happen, so this is a fail. This is a fail for my goals. But I put it off for a long time recording this video because each time I did it, I had like a way to justify it until recently. You may have noticed that it has been a little while since I made a video, and that is because I took a little break. I took a break from social media and from YouTube, and also even from life for a tiny bit. I went on a little trip and I'm back now, and it's summer and glorious and just wonderful. And so I am going to have a hot drink even though it's summer, which Juneau summer, it means it was like 70 today. It was super hot. I got a little bit of a sunburn, my pale skin. I do have mosquito bites all over though, so if you notice mosquito bites, it is the plague of the year. Better than the plague of last year. Alaska's state bird is the mosquito, in case you didn't know that. And so I'm actually, it's after dinner, and I'm going to have citrus ginger tea drops, which is like an orange lemon ginger drink that does not have sugar in this version. I'm really excited they came out with one without sugar. So it's just a tiny little drop in a package. I'm going to put it in my cup and pour some water over it. We'll drink that while we're talking. And as always, there will be a discount code for tea drops in my description. And if you're unfamiliar with tea drops, it's condensed tea leaves. So they're pressed, and so then when you put them in, they dissolve in the water, and then you just drink the whole thing, and it's really yummy. So we'll let that steep for a second. So failing my book goals for the year, I purchased several books that you can see over here for full price, almost all of them. Yeah, one of them was used. And it's really not the money I'm trying to avoid, it's the physical space that they take up. So, but I'm going to tell you what I bought and why. So the first one is this gorgeous copy of Little Women that I'm sure you have seen before. These Rifle Paper Company versions are just, I've been looking at them for a really long time. Oh, a little bookmark came with it. I've been looking at them for a really long time and wishing that I could have them. It's a nice condensed, compact, that's the word I'm looking for, compact hardcover, and it has both books of Little Women. So Little Women is broken into two sections. The first one is Little Women, the second one is Good Wives, and you can buy copies with either or both. And this has both, which is my preference because the stories really bleed into each other. And this year, my daughter's feet got to be the same size as mine, and she stole my shoes. So I needed new shoes, and Rifle Paper Company has these really adorable garden boots with flowery prints on them. So I was looking at those, and I bought those, and then I thought I have free shipping, so I might as well get something else. And then, so this is just purely indulgent. But the way I justified it was I do already have a copy of Little Women, but it is a paperback, like trade paperback cover. It has been read multiple times. It's definitely not going to last through all of my children, so I kind of bought this for me, kind of bought this for them, but it unfortunately did not stay as easily justified as that one. I got Windward Shore, which is book 3 of the Dancing Realms by Sharon Hink. I have books 1 and 2 in hardcover, and These are limited edition, and the hardcovers go away. She only, her publisher, it's Enclave Publishing, only prints a few copies, a limited number of copies of these hardcovers, and then they release a paperback with the same cover. And the illustration of the cover design is just so pretty that I really wanted the whole set. So I did allow myself at the beginning of the year a little caveat that if one of my favorite authors came out with a book and I wanted to support them with pre-order, that I would pre-order the ebook. And that's what I have done. I've pre-ordered several ebooks from authors that I want to continue reading the series. But again, I just knew that I needed to have this physical copy that I'm going to keep, and I was only going to be able to get it then. So, purchase number 2. And then this one actually might have been before that one. This one's completely justifiable. So I bought this lovely, oh sorry, I'm leaning forward. So I bought this lovely set of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and I bought these last year. But then my puppy dog tore up mostly this edge of this new one, but this is the edge that you see in the box set. Tore up the book just within weeks of me getting it, and so I ordered another one just so that it was pretty in its box, which is really silly. It's just that these are some of my favorite books of all time. And I wanted to do a reread, and I wanted to have my son do a reread and watch for the next video, by the way. And I just wanted a nice copy, so I bought this copy, and so I bought that copy, but I'm still reading this copy, and I'm almost done with my reread of Fellowship, and then we'll move on to Two Towers, obviously. This is when I started thinking that I had probably failed my goal. I went into a local bookstore looking for homeschool things to buy for my children. I found a few things, but really not what I was looking for. None of the books that were on my list were at the store. And so I kind of just got some learning resources. I got like a jigsaw puzzle with scientific things on it, just little fun things. But I felt like I had wasted my trip, which is fine, except I went to a bookstore and I was going to leave without buying anything. And so I was kind of wandering around, and I knew I shouldn't. But this particular bookstore also carries my books that I have written personally. And so I do feel like I owe them my patronage. And so anyway, I ended up picking up this copy of My Antonia because it's another one of my favorite books of all time. And earlier this year, I found out my great aunt had not read it, and she is first generation Czech American. And yeah, I said, well, you have to have my copy then. And I sent her my copy, so I repurchased this copy for myself so that I can have it and reread it. Did I have to buy it in 2021? Because will I read it again in 2021? But I did. And then I made a video about this one. This is the Enchanted April, and it came in a book box, the seasonal reading box, and any day I'm going to get the summer box, which I'm excited about. This was for the spring box. It's gorgeous. I didn't know which book was coming in the box, so it didn't feel like I was buying a book. It felt like I was buying a subscription box, and it's a good friend of mine that started this subscription box, and I wanted to support her. But after, receiving it in the mail, I realized that that's going to be 4 books that I purchased in 2021. Let's see if this is ready. My favorite tea that Tea Drops makes is the the sweetened version of this one, the citrus ginger with sugar. It's very lightly sweetened, but the sweetness really is just the right level. I don't like sweet drinks, but it is the right level. So I got this one to try that is unsweetened, because I try not to have calories after dinner. I try to stop eating at dinner, right? So I don't want to have a bunch of sugar or anything else, even in my drinks after dinner. So I thought this was a good choice, and I really like it. It's very warming and very simple. So it doesn't have the punch that I feel the other one has, but it's really nice. Okay, 2 more to go. Dream Thief. I talked about this in my books that Books that I bought myself for Christmas, and then also, I think, the last 10 books tag. So this is the version that came out the year I was born, I think. Yes, it came out the year I was born, but this is the 5th printing. So this is just a paperback version of the original text of Dream Thief by Stephen Lawhead. And last year for Christmas, I bought myself this new hardcover special edition, revised and signed version of Dream Thief by Stephen Lawhead, because he's one of my favorite authors. If you've never read something by Stephen Lawhead, you're missing out. There's his name. He writes historical fiction, fantasy, sci-fi. So he has a very long backlist, and pretty much you'll be able to find anything. You'll be able to find something you like if you like genre fiction. I'll just put it that way. So this lovely copy came for Christmas, and it made me wonder if I would notice a big difference from the original, but I didn't own the original. So I bought the original, and I must have gotten this maybe purchased this like January 3rd. So this was actually my first book that I bought of the year, but it didn't come for a long time because I bought it used, I can't remember if it was eBay or if it was Better World Books, but in any case, it took a really long time to get here, and I haven't read either of these yet. But that felt like not really buying a new book, because I was just buying an old book to compare with the new book that I bought last year. So, yeah. And then here is the straw that broke the camel's back. So while I was traveling, I visited a bookstore in Seattle, the Elliott Bay Book Company, and again, I remembered that I had said I would not buy anything in 2021, but I was looking out for something that would just remind me of my trip and something that would be just a special little takeaway. And I brought 2 books with me on the trip, and I had already read them by the time I got to this bookstore. So my other thought was, I need something to read on the plane home. So I went in without any particular expectation, and I found this pretty little copy of The Guest Cat by Takashi Hiraide. So it says it's a New York Times bestseller, but I have not heard of it before. But it's super thin, and so that was kind of number 1. I wanted something that I could read on the plane. Number 2, it has a Japanese author. And number 3, it was on a shelf that was recommended by staff, like those little, staff recommendations with a little synopsis that sounded really cute. And I have decided that probably for the fall, my goal is to read several books by Japanese authors, because for school, homeschool, I homeschool my 4 children. We are finishing up our study of Africa in the fall, and then we're starting Asia in the winter. And I have a degree in Japanese studies, and it just occurred to me that I do know several children's books by Japanese authors that I can share with my kids. But, yeah, I'm not as well read in Japanese literature as I want to be, which in part is because it requires someone who can translate well, right? Which usually means someone who is actually bilingual. You don't want someone who just, you don't want me. You don't want me who learned Japanese over the course of 4 years, but, only lived in Japan for 9 months. You need someone who has read a lot in both languages, and so translations are tricky. There's not a huge pool of authors that have crossed over from Japanese literature to American mainstream. So, all that to say, nonetheless, I'm feeling really bad that I haven't read more Japanese literature. So I picked this little one up, and it is, oh, I did know that this author is a poet, and I have a video about how much I love poetry too, actually. And this book just looked so charming. It says that it's about two writers, and I love books about writers, who are a young couple, and they enjoy their quiet cottage in a leafy part of Tokyo. They work at home as freelance editors, and one day a cat invites herself into their small kitchen. So it talks about how she leaves and comes and leaves. So I think that this is going to be very sweet, sentimental, thought-provoking, but one of those things that I'm just going to enjoy reading. It's going to be a good mood read. By the tense that I'm using as I speak, obviously I did not end up reading this on the airplane home. I also got started knitting a shawl on my trip, and I couldn't do both. So, but I have this lovely token from my unannounced vacation from everything. So I am happy about it. But I could not very well go to a bookstore, buy a book that I had like an impulse buy, that I had no intention of buying, and then report back to you that I had kept that goal. So now I'm at this crossroads where I feel like, okay, I have obviously way failed my goal of not buying physical books in 2021. Also, I'm not even going to get to all of these in 2021 because my reading list is so long. So I need to stop now, right? So I guess take your bets. Am I going to come back in December of 2021 and tell you that I also bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more books? Or will I have resolve and be able to say that I purchased no books in the second half of the year? We shall see. Next week, I am going to be posting a video of my mid-year wrap-up. I cannot believe we're already almost halfway through the year, so stay tuned for that, and I will tell you all the things I have read, not the things I've purchased, but the things I've actually read. And I'm excited to give you a few personal updates about what I'm doing in my career besides YouTube. So leave me a comment and tell me what you are reading, and also what you're buying. Have you had a big book haul lately? Are you trying to buy fewer books like me, or have you just given up like a sane person and decided you're going to buy books? Let me know. Give me some advice. And as always, tell me what's in your cup.